Good morning, guys. Today we're going to go over what a line plot is. A line plot is a way to display data along a number line. Line plots are also called dot plots. What you see is an example of a line plot showing 16 turtles and the distance that they've traveled in an hour. How do we know that it's 16 turtles? Well, if we count each of the dots above the line plot, we can tell that there are 16 dots. When we read the data, we can tell that the number of dots above the number 21 is 3. That tells me that 3 turtles were measured going a distance of 21 meters. If we look here at the number 25, there are 5 dots. We can determine that there were 5 turtles that traveled 25 meters in that given time frame. We can also find values on the dot plot or the line plot that are related to central tendency or are measures of center. So if we're looking at the information on the chart, we can see that 21 is our minimum value. We can see that 26 is our maximum value. And we can determine the mode. It's the column that has the most number of dots. So if we look at all of the data, we can determine that 25 has the most number of dots and would be the number found most often. Now, in order to find the median and the mean, there's a little bit more work involved. Remember, if we were looking at a data set, the data set would say 21, 21, 21, 22, 22, 22. Hopefully you get the idea. Each of these numbers would be written out in a longer list. So reading off of a line plot or a dot plot gives us a really good organizational way to read the data. So in order to find the median, I know you're going to have to think back to what I taught before we left school. In this case, we know that there are 16 numbers. Remember, 16 dots. We're going to find the 2 middle numbers in an even set, 2 middle numbers. So I'm going to subtract those 2 middle numbers from the number 16. That means 14 numbers in this data set are not part of those 2 middle numbers. So I'm going to take the number 14 and I'm going to divide it in half. Half of 14 is 7. That means the first 7 numbers in the list are part of the lower half. That means on the other side there are additionally 7 numbers that are not part of the middle. So I'm going to count off starting from the bottom and going up in each column until I get the first 7 numbers done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to circle the next 2 numbers. Those are my middle numbers. In this case, they fall both at the number 24. So my middle value, my median, is 24. Now, we know that in order to find the mean, we have to add all the values. So that's taking 21 plus 21 plus 21 plus 22 plus 22 plus 22. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a shortcut right now on how to find the value of all the 16 numbers added up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 21 and I'm going to multiply it by 3. There are 3 dots. I'm going to take 22. I'm going to multiply it by 3. I'm going to take 24 and I'm going to multiply it by 4. And when I do that, I'm going to end up getting values that look like this. So 21 times 3 is 63. 22 times 3 is 66. 24 times 4 is 96, and so on. You take these values, 66, 63, 96, 125, and 26, and add them together. When you are done that, you'll have a value of 376. Remember, there are 16 points of data in the set. I'm going to take my 376, divide it by 16, And when I'm done, I'll have a mean of 23.5. So all of these numbers are great for a review of minimum, maximum, mode, median, and mean. So again, when I'm looking at reading data on a graph, if I've been given a graph here, I can tell that I've measured some sort of string, or I've measured the size of a box, whatever the measurements are, and it's been recorded in centimeters. If I'm being asked here, okay, to read the data, so here it says how many alien arms are longer than 76 centimeters. I'm not sure where we're getting aliens from, but we would say, okay, let's count all the dots that are above 96. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The answer would be that there are 6 alien arms that are longer than our 96 centimeters. So hopefully reading this with a simple question will not be difficult. Last thing that I want to review is just how we go about graphing data that we've been given. Remember, line plots are great ways for organizing long sets of data. So if it asks us to graph data, first of all, we're going to draw a number line. Best way that you can do this, use the lines on your paper. Arrows at each end indicate that it is a line. If I was being really super accurate, I'd be using a ruler and I'd be making sure that my lines are all equally spaced along my number line. Now I'm going to put numbers to my number line. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember, I always like to have at least one number below and at least one number above the numbers in the data set, if I can fit it onto my paper. Now remember, when you're graphing a data, dot plots, line plots, they can use any symbol they want to represent the number. So this time, instead of using a dot, I'm going to use an X. And each X represents a number found in the data set. So 4 is found once, 5 is found 3 times, 6 is found twice, and 7 is found 1 time. Again, thinking about those central tendencies, I could find my minimum value 4, maximum value 7. I can determine that I have a mode of 5. There are 3 here. There are 7 numbers in my data set. I know that that means 1 number is my middle. That means if I take 1 away, 6 numbers are not. I'm going to count off the first 3. 1, 2, 3. I have a median of 5, and again, in order to find the mean, I would take these and add them. So I would take 4 plus 15 plus 12 plus 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. I now have 11 plus 15 plus 12. 11 plus 15 is 26 plus 12. 26 plus 12 is 38. Remember, there were 7 numbers. I'm going to do 38 divided by 7. I know that 7 times 5 is 35. So I know that I have 5 and 3/7. And then I can convert that to a decimal if I wanted. But for time's sake, we're going to leave it fractional. Again, graphing the next set. Again, I'm going to draw my number line, arrows at each end. I'm going to equally space some numbers on my number line. I'm going to put these, now you'll notice these are not in numerical order. I'm going to this time I didn't draw it long enough, so I'm going to have to just take it that 54 is my last number. I'm going to go back to the dots, 51, I'm going to cross off. Make sure I'm not skipping any numbers. I see 52 on here 3 times, and then I have 54. Remember, blank spaces indicate that that number is not found in our data set. And that's how you go do your graphing. Again, minimum value, maximum value. I'd be able to determine my mode very easily. again, I'd be able to find the median and the mean. So I hope this was a good start to your lesson, and let me know if you have any questions.